Hello. Today is Saturday, March 7th, and last night was Queer Open Mic, in which I was the featured artist. And so I think it went really well. It was a small turnout, but sometimes it's like that. And it honestly felt like one of my favorite cafes opened up on a Friday night so my friends and I could all play around on stage. That's what it felt like, and it was delightful. Pretty much knew everyone there. I think there was one person I didn't know, but I knew who they were with. And yeah, everyone got to share basically as much as they liked because we had the time. This one fella, Neil, sings and plays the guitar, and he actually pulled out a chair in the middle of the cafe and sat down there instead of on the stage to play to us, which was fun. It was more intimate than it can be at times, but I'm not upset about that at all. I feel a little bad that I didn't draw a big crowd for the place, but I still had a good time. I feel accomplished. I shared what I wanted to share. I had smiles and laughter and tears. It was a good night. And one in which I tried to not feel or rather, a night in which I was giving myself permission to, one, say thank you, and two, to talk a little bit more about my art, because I feel like I don't a lot. I'm already one that kind of is like, here, I made a thing, look. I feel like YouTube is often on the receiving end of this. Hey, I made a thing, look. And that was the whole point. It was my half an hour to be, hey, look. And to not feel bad about it. I'm already excited for the next one. A friend is going to be headlining that, and I am delighted. I love her poetry. I hope she sings some. But just what a wonderful and safe place. And now I guess it's on to the next thing with poetry. I had last year I worked on that manuscript for the contest, which I'm assuming at this point I did not win, which is fair, because upon rereading my manuscript, not all of them are bangers. And that's okay. So the rest of this weekend, I plan to do laundry and clean and crochet and play video games. And of course, fetch with the dog. It's my preferable type of rain here in the Pacific Northwest today, where it's just like, it's lighter than a sprinkling. It's like a misting, but it's continuous and gray. It's nice. It doesn't, everything is still wet, but it doesn't pile up in puddles. And it keeps the sun away, which I am thankful for from time to time. Although I will still basically always wear my sunglasses during the day if I'm outside. Because fuck bright lights. So what is next for poetry then for me? Well, that hymnal I have has like 800 something pages or whatever. So I can keep adding to my poetry journal for probably the rest of my life. And I do intend to do that, but that is not the next step because I need to work on new poems first. And so there are two things I need to do in order to work on new poems. One is to actually just take the time to journal. Take the time to write, not with the intent of creating, but with the intent of expelling thoughts and processing through them and giving myself reminders. What challenge did I face? What lesson did I learn? Which is a good tarot question for the day. I should probably pull my tarot deck out more regularly. At least ask for daily advice again. Just get in the habit of daily pulls. I have some friends who have been interested in tarot for a while, and I've lent them my book True and Simple before, and I gave it back to them last night. And I gave them my copy of the Modern Witch Tarot when I was reordering the deck. And I was looking through the cards. I was like, yes, this is a good choice. I wanted a Rider-Waite-Smith clone or a Rider-Waite-Smith deck to give to them to learn from, because they've expressed a lot of interest. And while tarot decks don't need to be given, it's nice to do so. And where was I going? Oh yeah, the Modern Witch Tarot is just, I think it's lovely. It is very faithful to the Rider-Waite-Smith. I feel like it even condenses the symbolism in the cards, or rather there's something very, I like the updatedness. A great example, and it's one of the, I think, images on the cover, is the Ten of Swords, which is a woman laying down in front of water in a sunset with 10 swords sticking out of them. But there's also like a phone death scroll going on. Which I like. The Chariot is a motorcycle. And it's just nice to see like diversity in a deck. instead of just like cis white het people. And I feel like some of the cards felt more updated, like the 3 of Pentacles, instead of being 3 like Masons working in a cathedral on an arch. It was an instructor, like an artist student, and a live subject doing figure drawing. And you still have that like collaboration, working together. I feel like everyone knowing their role is part of that card as well. Planning. So, I don't know. I think that's a good, faithful take on a card that might feel archaic to the modern user. And like I said, there's just like gender and race diversity, body size diversity, ability diversity, I believe. It's a great deck. It was just not one I pulled for. I am still pretty ride or die for my Terra Mucha. I love that deck. I love Art Nouveau. I love like Mucha style art. And like everything about those, about the Terra Mucha, like I adore. I love the back of the cards. I love the intricacy of it. I love the frame and border on each of the cards, and all the like scroll work, and then the figures depicted are gorgeous. And fabric drapes in such a delightful way. The deck I was actually looking for to give to Kat and Wendell was the Universal Tarot, which I cannot find, which means I put it somewhere I thought was a great idea. So the Universal Rider-Waite-Smith that I have it's just a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but all of the images are colored in, it looks like colored pencil, and they're really like beautiful and detailed gradients, rich shades, as opposed to the like simple color block of the standard Rider-Waite-Smith. And the back of the cards I love. There's a white border, but then it's like a deep navy with gold stars. It looks good, and it's clear, and it's easy to read, and I love it. I have no idea where it is. So what I thought was my Universal Rider-Waite-Smith deck actually turned out to be my regular Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which I almost gave away. But it was my first deck, and it was gifted to me. And then I remembered I had the Modern Witch Tarot. It's like, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, daily pulls. I should work on that. But in my musical tarot decks of swapping things around and getting a deck ready to go away, I'd pulled out the Aquarian Tarot. I which I got in a tarot swap years ago. And I like that deck too, man. It's not... You know, I did consider it when I realized the Universal Rider-Waite-Smith was missing. But I decided against it because it can be read as a clone, but it doesn't have all of the same symbolism clearly visible, which isn't as helpful for learning. But it's a beautiful deck. It's got a delightful color palette. So I pulled that out, and I had prepped it to give away. So now it's all fresh and reset in a new bag with charms, and maybe that'll be my daily draw deck for a bit. Yeah, probably should be. I found the thought that I lost. I need to do two things to move on from here with my poetry. One is write in my journal, and tarot is part of that. Tarot is part of that self-reflection process and that writing, and just finding the string of consciousness and pulling it out onto the page. But the other thing that I need to do is to read through old journals. Because that's one of my favorite ways to... Well, one, I find it helpful for growth, reflection, and sanity. To look back and see the snapshots of how my brain was working in specific times. It can make me incredibly grateful, it can make me incredibly sad. It can be a little triggering, but part of recording both analog and digitally is to have a frame of reference, to be able to go back and remind myself what I thought, what I felt. So hopefully I can make better choices in the future. But I pulled down probably one of my favorite journals that I've ever made. It's this square corduroy. It's like 6x6 are the pages, or at least the full-size pages. It's got corduroy, it's got buttons, it's got a pen loop, it's got a fun dangly and like string windy closure. And then there's a lot of like autumnal colors in it, golds and oranges. The inside of the cover is this yellow, like mustard. Honestly, I should just do some flip throughs of journals. Curate some spreads that I want to share, because flipping through journals past and current is just one of those things that brings me such satisfaction. I find them beautiful and fun and interactive. I could figure out how to film that, right? Desktop shot? No. Hold it up storybook style? Probably. When I'm trying to figure out how to do things on video, I think back to Adam McIntyre's like old videos where he had a laptop in his hand, and that's how he would play the videos to react. So he would just hold it up and like hit the space bar and give his commentary. I fucking love it. But like obviously I don't want to share a lot of the journal entries, but like surface level they're pretty to look at. So unfortunately the journal I chose to reread through I had already pulled poems from. So I reread through the first couple pages, you know, did all the interactive bits, took off the paper clips, opened the envelopes, flipped things out, flipped them back, tucked everything away. And, you know, there is something really cool about going back and reading those journal entries where I'm like, oh, I know exactly what poem this is. So like one of the first journal entries in that book turned into Muse to Reprogram, which I did not read last night. I did read yesterday to myself. Yeah, so I need to pick a new journal. I should probably look for the one that speaks to me the least and then choose that one, because that's probably the one I haven't done yet. So I think I have a tendency to pull out the same like 3 journals to go through. Just because I have favorites based on aesthetic. But that I think is, I'll do that, start today maybe, pick out a new journal and start reading through, find those little bits that are poetic and pull them out to become poems. Or sometimes I've worked on poems or I have started that process within an actual journal and I just never finished it. So the idea is to continue to pull out poetic language from the past and turn them into present poems about the past. And then transfer them into my poetry journal and just keep up that process. And then I'll just, first Friday of the month is Queer Open Mic. So that week I will probably read through my entire poetry journal and bookmark the poems that I want to read. It's a hymnal. I have a bunch of paper clips in there. Feels correct. Yeah. And then everything will be nice and easy to flip to and all in one place, and I won't have to be rewriting at the last minute. But I also want, as part of that process, I do want rereading all of my like finished poems to be a part of it, to reread through my poetry journal, which like as more things get added, it will take longer, but also I will memorize the poems more as I read through them, so I will read through them faster, unless I'm reading out loud, which I do like to read poetry out loud. But that reflective process. I want to be part of, like, I want that to be a monthly ritual. And part of that is going through and reminding myself of previous mindsets that I've had. And hopefully it'll allow me to identify some patterns sooner, instead of like 3 days of being mopey and then being like, oh, you know what, I think I'm depressed. Maybe it's better at self-reflection, emotions, or life. Alright. Queer open mic was delightful. I'm really glad I did it. I had a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to upcoming poetry